Hello everybody and welcome to That's Football. Southampton 2, Chelsea 1. What is going on at Chelsea? It is a crisis. I've had people telling me they're going through a rebuild. This is year 3 for Tuchel. Can he survive a rebuild? What's going on at Chelsea? Because they win at the weekend, but how bad are Leicester? They go to Southampton, they get the goal. Southampton are having problems scoring goals, and then they lose 2-1. Plenty of time for Chelsea to get back into that game, and really they didn't create the wave after wave of attack I thought I'd see in the second half. Southampton worthy winners, and yet again, well done to Southampton, just like a few weeks ago. Well done to Leeds for beating Chelsea, and Chelsea on their travels look lost again. There's no fluidity, there's no structure. Jamie Carragher would have a field day. Where's the structure? There's no structure in that team, and Chelsea are in problems. They should not be thinking about deep runs in the Champions League and title contenders. They've got to now start thinking about, will they be in the Champions League next year? Because I find their signings confusing. I find it really confusing. Chasing Gordon from Everton is not going to make that Chelsea front line more fluid. When I think of Chelsea, I think about top talent. When they were linked to De Jong, when United wanted De Jong, that's the sort of signing I thought Chelsea would be making this summer. That front three does not look good. It doesn't look good. And their midfield doesn't look good. And I know Kovacic is going to come back and Kante will be back soon, but he's injury prone. I look at that Chelsea side and I just think, you're spending money on your defence and your defence has got problems, but maybe when you go to your back five, you'll be okay. But there just doesn't seem to, they look like a bunch of strangers. They look like a team that's rebuilding, but they don't look like a team that's getting the bounce of a rebuild. They just look lost. They look vulnerable, and they are losing games to teams like Leeds and Southampton comfortably, which anybody can get beat by Southampton. Anyone can get beat by Leeds. You've got to put respect on the fact that the Premier League is really competitive this season. But Chelsea are losing comfortably. They're not looking like the favourites. When I see maybe Man City lose a game or Liverpool lose a game, they'll still be the favourites in the game throughout the game. But Chelsea tonight, again, there's the same as Leeds. In that last 10 minutes, you're like, it's going to take something fortunate for Chelsea to get a point out of this. I don't know how they solve this problem with 2 days left in the transfer window. I don't see them being linked to a player that's going to solve that problem with 2 days left in the transfer window. But if I was a Chelsea manager or I was a Chelsea buyer and I was the owner, I'd be going for Wilfried Zaha from Chelsea. That's a deal that Palace will do with 1 year left on his contract. He's Premier League proven, and he'll give you something in the final third that you just don't have. Some Premier League proven quality and confidence. Look, it'd be great for Chelsea if they could do a deal for Neymar or whoever else they're being linked to, like a De Jong. But maybe they can do that in the last 48 hours. But I just don't see. And we all watch a lot of Chelsea, but I just don't see at the moment where they're going to find that groove. I know they're spending a lot of money on Fofana, and maybe they're going to get this Gordon guy in as well. But the money they're spending, I'd be worried. I'd be worried if I was Chelsea. You're not creating loads of chances. Look, Sterling's a good player. Sterling was a good player at Man City, but he can't do it all on his own. Mason Mount is just fell off a cliff. I mean, I haven't seen Mason Mount have a good game for a while now. They're still relying on Jorginho, which is a player that I've heard that they're going to move on for 2 years now. As I say, Kovacic is a good player, but I just don't. If they're gonna spend that money on Cucurella and Fofana, I'm gonna say it. It's been in my head all day. If you're gonna spend that money on Cucurella and Fofana, which is well over 150, well about 140 million quid, you'd have been better off spending that on Rice. I think if you'd have brought Declan Rice into that midfield, that's the sort of revolution that Chelsea team needs. It needs a heart. It needs a soul. You can have a good defence, but there's no connection between your midfield and your attack. And people can say, oh, Koulibaly's overrated and Thiago Silva's fell off. But that's not watching the game of football. Like, maybe Chelsea are conceding goals because teams are getting at their defence more because their midfield and their attack is not working together. I don't think you can say that Koulibaly and Silva are at fault for the goals. The first goal comes from a corner, they don't close it down. The second goal is just, again, you could probably put it on the midfield again. So I think that Chelsea's problem is an identity. They lack an identity. They don't look fluid. I mean, does Azpilicueta still want to be there? Well, he is there. They just seem a little bit tired, a little bit lost. And you can't be like that in the start of the season because a lot of teams are hungry and ready. I mean, Southampton had a bit of a bad start to the season, played well against United, lost 1-0, and now they've beaten Chelsea. They'll be very happy with that. Leeds, they were vibrant against Chelsea as well. So I think Chelsea have got a lot to learn, and they've got to learn it very, very quickly. And if I was Chelsea, I'd go and buy Zaha. And it's too late to get a Declan Rice, but all the money they're spending on their defence, and I think you need to spend money on your attack. It's disjointed. Players look like they're not meant to be there. It's a mess. It's a real mess. And I have said it before. I said it before the season started. And loads of people know I said it. I said, look, I like Tuchel, but if you want a surprise sacking this season, Tuchel. New owner inheriting a manager. Normally a new owner will want their own man. If that crack starts to appear, he'll move Tuchel on. So, be careful about that. That could happen. But Chelsea are better than this. Put some respect on Southampton's name. They deserve to win. But Chelsea are better than this. They should be giving more than that. As for Southampton, I've got to say it, that Bella Kotchuk, my man of the match again. I thought he was their man of the match against United, man of the match again. They brought him in from the Bundesliga. If he keeps performing like that, he's going to be a top centre-back somewhere very, very soon. Southampton have unearthed a real talent there, and their defence just looks a lot better. And the keeper's good as well. They're going to concede goals, Southampton, because of how they play. If you could put a Danny Ings in that Southampton team again, they'd be a bloody good side. I just don't know where the goals are going to come from Southampton, because their tempo, their energy, and their defensive side of things is very competitive for a Premier League side. It's whether they can get the goals. But for Chelsea, watch this space, because I think they've got problems, and they could get worse when they need to get better. Thanks everyone for watching. Smash a like on the video. Make sure you subscribe, and I'll speak to you all soon.